Yes, it is true that I took a course with him at Yale University. Him and other professors were there. And yes, I did benefit from that class. And yes, I benefited being in the presence of this Taghut Fir'aun. And he is Taghut and he is a Fir'aun. I benefited from his presence by seeing many things, including the gift of eloquence. As our Prophet ﷺ said, verily eloquence is a type of magic. And there is no denying that this person has been given some of that magic. إِنَّ مِنَ الْبَيَانِ سِحْرًا.
He acknowledged and he affirmed that he has benefited from Tony Blair, from the course that he studied under Tony Blair at Yale University about politics and faith. He says that he openly admits that yes, he benefited from Tony Blair. And one example, the only example he gives of what he specifically benefited from, in that question and answer, and it was uploaded by Yasir Qadhi to his own YouTube channel, something he wishes to publicize. So I'm not bringing out anything that's secret. It's an open teaching that was openly recorded, and he himself has openly uploaded this to his YouTube channel.
Yes, I did benefit from that class.
That he has benefited from the sihr of Tony Blair, from the magical rhetoric, the speech habits, or the ways of turning the crowd, or moving the crowd, or affecting people with sihr al-bayan. And he quoted the hadith, "Inna min al-bayani la sihra," that verily some kinds of speech is magical. I'd like you to understand this hadith from our Prophet ﷺ is authentic, and it refers to two affairs. The scholars of the past used to use the word sihr as a praiseworthy word to describe those who speak the truth and adorn it with beautiful words and a beautiful way of conveying it. However, the hadith is more often used as a warning, a refutation of people who would take falsehood and dress it up as the truth. Inna min al-bayani la sihra. And this is the more common way it was used by the companions themselves to refute and reject the people of falsehood who would dress up the falsehood as something good and something acceptable, to make it acceptable to the people, to give them what you call the Trojan horse, something that looks good and attractive so you let it in. And underneath that dressing of speech is pure falsehood. Now I ask you by Allah, if we are going to say that Tony Blair's rhetoric and his speech is effective and it reaches people's hearts, and if we are going to acknowledge that it is so effective, it is a kind of sihr al-bayan, it is a kind of magical speech, wallahi, I ask you now, those of you who listen to Yasir Qadhi, pay attention please. Is the sihr, the magical speech that Yasir Qadhi affirms for Tony Blair, is it of the first type, someone who speaks the truth, and he adorns the truth with beautiful preaching and beautiful words to make it reach the people's hearts? Is it that category? Is that what Tony Blair does? Or is it the second category, the more commonly used, the way this hadith has been used more commonly to discourage, to deter, to warn against people who would use it to dress up falsehood and make it acceptable to people? I ask you, in all fairness, knowing Tony Blair, what he has said, what he has done, how he chooses to speak about what he has done, you know the answer. You know that Tony Blair's rhetoric, Tony Blair's passionate speeches, Tony Blair's effective addresses to the people, you know, and don't lie to yourself, you know it's the second type. You know for a fact that he speaks with falsehood, as most politicians in the world do, if not all of them. He speaks with, and I mean Western politicians, he speaks with falsehood, and he tries to dress it up as being something acceptable. He speaks about the killing of Muslims in Muslim countries, and he dresses it up as freedom and democracy and liberty and, helping people and assisting people and so on. You know for a fact which sihr al-bayan Tony Blair has. Now I ask you by Allah, what has Yasir Qadhi benefited from Tony Blair when he says the first thing I benefited from was his sihr, his magical rhetoric, the way he can move a crowd, the way he can reach people. I ask you by Allah, which method of sihr, which method of magical speech did he learn from Tony Blair? And if you don't want to answer the question, you're only hiding from yourself. You're only hiding from the reality that you see in front of you.
Brothers and sisters, these differences have been with the ummah for 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 years. Do you think that our hatred together will eliminate this? No. We're going to have this. Let's be pragmatic. Let's be realistic. These schisms, these sects will remain no matter what we want. So let's try to do something that we all agree to, and that is to make the world a better place. Let Allah be the judge. Let Allah be the judge.
Has he been affected by sihr al-bayan, by the magical rhetoric of Tony Blair? If you told me that this was Tony Blair saying, let's come together and make the world a better place, I would believe you. And if you would have told me 10 years ago that Yasir Qadhi is speaking at ISNA, telling a mixed gathering, including the Shiite, that we need to come together and make the world a better place, I would not have believed you back then. But I would have believed you that it was Tony Blair. Wallahi, be honest and be just. Now you have Yasir Qadhi telling a group of Shiite mixed with Ikhwanis that we come together and we hold hands together and we make the world a better place. Then he says the catchphrase of every ignorant Ikhwani standing on every corner on Allah's earth.
Let Allah be the judge. Let Allah be the judge.
Oh, how they love that. Let Allah be the judge. Let Allah be the judge. So if we let Allah be the judge, meaning, that's a catchphrase again. It is a beautiful statement on the outside that people love to hear. Inside it means, don't take a stance for your religion. Don't have love and hatred for the sake of Allah. Don't manifest any love and hatred. Don't believe you're on the haqq. And don't believe that someone else is on falsehood. Don't believe like that. But let Allah be the judge. Now he's under the tutelage of Tony Blair, acknowledging that openly. And now he gives passionate Western political styled speeches to move the crowd. Now you'll see in his speech patterns that which resembles the speech of politicians trying to win over audiences.
Believe what you want to believe. Argue what you want to argue, but allow the freedom of somebody else to believe as they want to believe.
By dressing up falsehood, by dressing up lies, by dressing up misguidance as being something acceptable, as being something beautiful, as being good manners, as being middle course and balance and all of that. You'll find him dressing up falsehood and presenting it to the people as something good and truthful. And that is exactly the sihr al-bayan that our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam warned us against.
I hate the guy, I despise him, but I would take another class with him.